Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday. Michelle, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, bro. Glad to be back. Seems we've been doing like 2-week stretches over the summer.
Yeah.
Which is, a little bit more going on, eh?
Yeah.
Different things happening.
It works, right?
Yeah. That's cool. So, a lot to catch up on, I guess.
Yeah. The energy has definitely shifted for me. We were talking, I guess, a month ago about the anxiety and stuff, and I've noticed that's really calmed down. Things have smoothened out for the most part for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have had, of course, had the eye thing going on, that eye styes or whatever. But besides that, I kind of felt yucky a few days and nauseous. A few people in the household have been losing weight. Probably over the last month or two, and it's really weird because we're all kind of losing weight right now. It's kind of strange that it's just kind of loss of appetite. And
that's what I was gonna say. The appetite changes. That's what I really noticed. I can't eat near as much as I used to.
Just don't get hungry,
No, don't get hungry, and then when I do eat, it's just done with it really quick.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's always leftovers on the plate. It's completely different. I've lost a lot of weight over the last few months as well. So is mom. Her eating's changed too. So I know some people drawn to fasting more. I'm really feeling and I get messages we don't really need to eat that much. We're getting energy in a different way, in a new way now.
Mm-hmm.
So the eating is just really kind of a habit for the most part, and that's what it really feels like. It just feels like I'm doing something out of habit, and it even lacks flavor, lacks enjoyment. Don't enjoy it as much, food.
That's so true. And it's like it's more of a chore anymore. It's I forgot to eat.
It's like
That's
chewing.
Why. Yeah. But even feeling like I'm oh my gosh, I've been doing it with drinking too, because I drink a lot of water. I try to drink a lot of water, but just going long stretches, and it's oh my gosh, I haven't even drank any water, or I haven't eaten anything today, and it's you just kind of, get stuck not thinking about it, I guess,
Yeah. Well, if you're not hungry,
right.
You gotta forget about it. And that's what I find. I'm finding I'm just going hours and hours, and I have no inclination to eat or hunger pains, or when I do, it's just really small amounts. And it's just going with it. The last few days. So, I mean, that's the thing. We haven't talked in a couple weeks. So I know a couple weeks ago, I was experiencing, the really heavy hit the root, as opposed to coming from the top down. I really felt like the energy was coming up. So it really hit the lower back and the digestive system and everything. And kind of dealt with that. And then really felt the energy moving up, the palpitations going up this way.
Yeah.
Almost like a lava lamp. The energy moving around, those weird feelings you get along the side of the stomach that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And I just really felt the process over about the span of about 3 days, of where it started at the base, aching, the twitching thing, weird, spasms or energy or vibration. But then, also some low back pain, and then movement and the intestine area, feeling things shifting around and affecting the digestive system. It's trying to squeeze every last lining inside of your intestines that you don't need. Any buildup, anything is getting squeezed out. And then it goes to this really weird floaty feeling when it starts to hit the solar plexus. It's it's really weird, kind of bubbly. To me, it's lava lamp feeling, like, and then it starts to move up to the heart area more, and then I'll feel the blah 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 go into those tremors and palpitations of the heart as it's moving up, right? So I really felt a distinct difference from which direction and where the energy was moving. That was a couple weeks ago. Now again, it's flipped over where again this week I would say more it's again coming like the head activations I've been getting the last 3 days. I've been having very strange sensations, almost like the lava lamp, but coming down the side of my head. We talked about those spiky feelings, like the ice picky feelings, and then it all goes zappy and gets stimulated, like all those branches I see in the brain getting activated.
Yeah.
But this was different. This was like this was like more a pouring feeling, like something pouring down the side of my head, but underneath my scalp. And it had like, again, sort of more of that lava lamp feeling, like blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
As opposed to the zingy spike, more sharp electric charge. This was like warm and vibrating and sort of bubbly, weird,
right,
lava-y kind of feeling that was pulsating sort of and stimulating all down the side. And then I got this like whoosh, like I actually like almost swooned just sitting in my chair. I wasn't doing anything. So it really came in out of nowhere, and just hit me. And it actually made the vision sort of go weird and spinny. I felt a pull.
Did
like
you feel dizzy at all? Like a
yes,
okay.
yes.
Sort of
yeah,
like it messed with your equilibrium while it was happening for
totally,
a moment? Okay. I think I might have experienced something like that.
And almost like I began to feel like disassociated and a pull. I was feeling like a pull. Like seriously, I was sitting there for a minute. And it was so strong that I was like, am I going to get pulled out?
Right. Yeah.
Like, because it was like as my body was doing this, like almost swooning, I was feeling this pull at the same time. And it was very dissociative. It was very spinny, vibration. Ears are ringing off the hook, right? And it's like, whoa, what's going on? It was like my body was like releasing. And there was a pull. Even talking about it, I'm getting like this stimulation all in the crown, right? So, but and then it just passed. I'm like, and I was back to normal. That was a different one. That was new. Yeah. So, and that just happened a couple of days ago. I'm really feeling this energetically, as opposed to the heavy pull, like the leaded weight. This really feels like this welling up, this springing forth, this water energy, sort of that wave that's beginning to, swell. That's what it feels. That's the imagery, the sensation. Like even with that experience, it was like climbing the swell of the wave. And I'm really getting that energy a lot, and really finding that sweet spot and going with the curve.
Right.
Exactly. Because if we're overshooting the curve right now, you're literally going to get like splat, flung out. But it's just this awareness of the energy and remaining grounded in that pillar of light, the sensation and the visual of this pillar of light, and keeping the focus, the divine focus on the movement of energy through that, and letting the stories literally like fall away from that pillar of light.
That's all
true. Of the stories, just letting it all fall away in meditation, letting it all dissolve, right? And moving it through. Yeah.
And it's so cool because, I mean, if you think about how long we've been talking about the conscious breathing and talking about letting the stories go, it's like we've been being prepared for this time right
There.
now, you know?
Oh, so much so.
Because I mean, more than ever is it now more than ever it seems like having that conscious breath is important to keep yourself grounded, you know, and just with everything going on out there, you know, you've got to learn to turn that off. You've got to learn to let those stories go. And there seems to be,
Mhm.
especially in like kind of the truther community, sort of an addiction. It was shown to me in meditation. There's like this addiction to information, you know? And so
Yes.
many people see all this movement, all this stuff happening, and you just don't want to miss anything because it's so exciting. You know, you can tap into the excitement of it all, but you can also get pulled a little too far in. You know, because if that was the other thing that goes right along with what we've been talking about, and what you were just saying, that keeps coming week after week in a new way. This time it's been presented as an arrow to me in all sorts of ways, you know, and I've been paying, I'm like,
Mm,
what's the deal with the arrow? And I'm trying to figure it out, you know, and it was like, you know, you want to be aimed in the right direction when the push comes. We're going to get a push,
that's
an
right.
energetic
Yeah.
push. And we don't want to be
Yes.
focused on the negative or the fear and all of that when we get a push, because that's the push, that's the direction you'll get pushed. So it was like,
That's
stay
it.
grounded, stay focused in the love and the peace and the knowing everything is perfect. You know what I mean?
That's it. And that's it. That's it. That point of the split,
Yeah.
of that polarity split,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it's lined up and ready to come in and drive that force forward.
Right.
Yeah. So you really have to be in line and with your intention, and where is your mind at, where's your energy at. And I am I am really feeling energetically this growing, swelling excitement as well.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, the beginning, like it was a lot heavier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. There's a real breakthrough in this membrane right now. This warrior energy has come through August, and and people, you know, using their voices and speaking out. Now we're seeing sort of the polarity on that playing out too, and how it can go. You know, the egoic mind can take that sort of activism route and go down a dark road too, but it is still like an an ascended, like part of coming awake and part of
Mm-hmm.
speaking truth, right? No
Yeah.
matter what. So it's just, if you get locked on that step of the ladder,
Right.
or do you start to remove judgment again and lift above that, and your choice again is to lift above that. So yeah,
But
it's a really interesting time playing out.
it's like you can see everybody sort of working on it from the different perspectives, and I think sometimes we can get caught in the trap that the only possible way to combat this or to be a part of this is to be an activist and to go out there and picket or whatever. And if that's, you know, where your heart's at or whatever, go do that or whatever. But there's also an understanding that it's sort of our state of human consciousness right now that we have the government we have, that we have
Mm-hmm.
the school systems we have, and we have the media we have. It's just a reflection of our state of consciousness. So we understand that we're sort of approaching this from a consciousness level, because we know that as soon as the consciousness raises to a certain level, people will be like, oh, this isn't working anymore. We need to do something about this. So there's all
Yes.
these different levels, and you can't expect somebody that's at that level of feeling like you have to pick it to understand that it's really a consciousness thing that we see playing out. You know what I mean? It's a reflection of our level of consciousness as a race right now. And as soon as that raises, all that other stuff will follow. Really, you know what I mean?
And I think there's a lot of stages to this process, you know, and finding out these truths and being outraged and then wanting to speak out and
Mm-hmm.
have, but and then you know, allowing people to go through that process that
Oh yeah.
I've learned too. Um, and just choosing where you're directing your energy, and to keep in mind, like, that's still,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all a distraction, and it's all right,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still here and observing, and it is an exciting time to observe. And I'm really seeing that excitement now come out. Like, no matter what, things are changing, guys. No matter what side of the fence you are, what beliefs are, what political views, or if you're opposition or not opposition, the fact is everything's changing.
You can feel the momentum, you know.
Yes, and
And
you can feel the momentum of it.
on some levels, it might feel like, no, this is heading in the wrong direction, or whatever. And you know, when you see someone jumping, for instance, you see them go down ready to leap for the lunge, or you know that the trampoline's stretching downward to spring up. So there is this sort of recoil that we see sometimes. And I think that's what we see playing out right now. It doesn't necessarily mean it's getting worse. It's recoiling to spring forward. And, you know, it's building momentum right now. That's what all of this is about. So, you know, from one level, it can look like, you know, oh, things are going down. No, it's just getting ready to spring up, you know?
Yes. Yeah. There's, yeah,
it's
exciting to watch. And, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of dramatic things playing out that we couldn't even probably guess. I mean, we can guess, and but I'm sure there'll be plenty of surprises and, you know, different things that happen in the next few months. And it's been good practice for a lot of people to prepare and sort of how they're observing the world and the information they're receiving as they receive it. So, you know, I'm seeing people take more time before they just jump into the opinion and say, okay, well, what's really going on? And yeah.
But I think like we were saying before, the stories are really playing a role in awakening people to be a stepping stone into realizing like, oh, things aren't this way. Let's explore something else, or let's get out of the daily grind, you know. But in essence, everything's moving in the right direction, you know, and it's exciting times.
Yeah. I've looked at all this information, you know, this whole awakening, ascension, great awake, all of it, you know, it's just this massive umbrella. And when you start out, you think that this point over here has nothing to do with that information over there, or that topic over there, right? They don't have anything connected. But as you go through this process, it just eventually happens that no matter what you do, you start to see the web of connections of things. And you know, even if people are starting off on the point of view of political awareness or media awareness or Hollywood awareness or any of those things, eventually they're going to start to hear about Tesla and frequency, and like it's all connected in this information web right now. And that's the beautiful thing. So no matter what kind of direction you're coming at, if there's a spark of inquisition that gets you to look or dig or ask a question, and you keep doing that, eventually you're going to see it's all under the same thing. So they'll get to ascension. They'll get to saying, hey, I've got to release judgment on polarity and lift from this, you know, whole dynamic that we have, but also realizing it's part of the process. It's like I say, it's Game of Thrones playing out right now. You know, everybody got a shot at the throne going around that circle, right? The wheel. And, but at the end of the day, who broke the wheel? It wasn't, you know, Daenerys Targaryen with the dragon. She's part of the wheel too. She thought her bloodline was her right to have that throne.
Right.
But in the end, after they all went through it fighting for it, who ended up with it was the meek and the awakened one, the one with the third eye, the cripple boy with the third eye. He ends up becoming king. So we're seeing it play out. Everybody's cheering, you know, Daenerys versus Jon Snow. But really, at the end of the day, neither one has a right to the throne. The whole thing's got to be broken, you know? Everybody was so disappointed that Daenerys didn't become queen or Jon didn't become king. But in order for that whole dynamic to be broken, you know, they were part of the same bloodline. And it's by blood or by blood right that they're entitled to that throne. So,
and that's Game of Thrones?
It couldn't end that way. Yeah, people were so upset, you know, that
that it reached the end of the season.
Characters didn't get the throne in the end. But really,
it's a cliffhanger for next season, right?
Yeah, that's in a lot of ways what's playing out right now. You know, the character of Daenerys Targaryen tells you the whole time, the whole series, who she is. She'll burn down cities to get what she wants, and then everybody at the end is so surprised because she's she's done some good things, philanthropist. She's, really, but there's bad things she's been willing to do too. We all have the light and the shadow. We all have that. We all say what we are. So there's many lessons to be learned in that. And so much, you guys know, so much of the stuff that we watch, from like The Dark Crystal to 2001 Space Odyssey to all these movies and things.
Yeah, little leaks of information and stuff.
But yeah, that's a little hobby of mine.
and it's a lot of fun and stuff. And as long as, it doesn't pull you into this world of fear where you're seeing all these connections and feeling like you're a victim in a system and you can't escape. Yes. And, I mean? And it turns into this doom and gloom thing because you begin to see these connections. Right. But because there's another broader connection that you could make. And maybe it's just all this grand orchestrated play or something. I mean, how do you don't know, at the end of the day, because I really feel like it's honestly
game.
Yeah, a game. Yeah. Like we're in training right now. Yeah. But, it gets back to that thing with the addiction to information. We want more and more and more. And with so much of this momentum, it's easy for us to get caught in that which is fun, like we were just saying, but too much of anything is bad. And if you're not present in that moment, that presence, that moment of letting all of that go, like you were talking about at the beginning when we first started, that's where the true information is really at. I mean, you're not going to find it out there, really. You're never going to be able to trust what you find out there. You're only going to really be able to trust what goes on within. So all you can do is observe out there, see what resonates with what you connect with on the inside, because that's the only real truth for you.
It's the only truth that remains. Yeah. It's the only truth that remains.
And there's so many stories that suck you in right now. And they interweave into each other. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a mess. I mean, when you look into this, so many stories seem to support each other in certain areas, but then support other. I mean, it's just a web of chaos.
There's so many angles you can look at from, studying the numerology and headlines. Like there's so many avenues and perspectives. But I mean, it can be the fun part of it, like solving a Sudoku puzzle. If you keep yourself logically detached and realize that it's once you crack the code, then you can just have fun deciphering it, and you don't have to be attached, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that they can take away from you.
Well, what I see is this,
you're not giving away your power anymore.
This crowd of people, like on one side of this river, and they're all using these stepping stones to get to the other side. So really all of this information is a bridge for someone to get some momentum to start asking some questions, because even if it doesn't really play out as being true, they still at least began to ask the question. How many of us can't understand how people don't even ask the question? So at least people are beginning to ask questions. Breaking
the cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
That's the real, right? Cracking that mirror. Wow. Yeah. That's the real tough one. But when that shatters, then everything else starts to shatter. And that's a really scary process for somebody. We have to remember that too. That can be really scary, frightening, when all your illusions start to shatter around you.
Yeah.
So it's a fragile time, and people can lash out when they're afraid, even more. So, and they're wounded and frightened. So, yeah, we just have to really keep that calm energy. I even found myself in a situation last week, where visiting with family, right? And it's like energetically putting yourself back in that environment. It's like, whoa, like, so they're so distracted by their own mind and and the arguments and just kind of being that presence in that space and holding it. And I saw the results of it. I really did see the results of everybody around me toning it right down, because I wasn't giving an inch, even though their energy was over here. I maintained that in my speech, in my body language, my tone, everything, just maintaining that pace and that composure. And it just all simmered down. And everybody had to join me, my vibration, because I'm not joining them at that.
Right.
Right. Not happening. No matter the song and dance, no matter the story, no matter the victim story, no matter any of it. I'm calling a spade in a very calm way. and and that's it. And it was really interesting in seeing the results of that. Literally people like crying because they release that. I mean, it happens a lot when I do sessions, right? But when they let go of that, like what they're holding on to, the argument, the story, they're like that. And then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, the crying happens, and you see so much in body language, and it just changes. It's really amazing. It was a very neat experience. And I had a very interesting dream because of it.
Really?
That, yeah, I was going to share.
Yeah, let's hear it. I love dreams.
Okay, cool. We'll go. I was like, I guess we'll go right to that. So, it was a dream about a snake, and I used to have, that was one of my nightmare, years ago, was a huge phobia of snakes. And I'd get these dreams where, there'd be one snake and then there'd be another, and I couldn't walk on the ground for all the snakes just covering it. It's just awful. And that would be a real nightmare for me, like panic. But I don't have that phobia anymore of snakes. And I was having this dream where I was sitting by like a riverbank with my legs out straight in front of me. Not sure what I was doing, but I was just kind of minding my own business, just doing something. And I noticed sort of on my peripheral, where I see the water's edge, what looks kind of like a stick because it's really straight and it's coming towards me, but I realized, oh, it's a snake. But I'm observing it. Now, normally I would have like, oh, they're panic, right? But it's much like somebody who doesn't get bothered by bees. It's like, if they don't bother me, I don't bother them. Like, that's kind of my thing. I don't fuss or get agitated. And that's kind of how I was feeling about this snake. Like, it's just an animal doing its thing. I don't bother it. It doesn't bother me. I had one hand down by my sort of hip leg as it was coming towards me. I'm like, there's something wrong with this snake. It's not like right in the head, because he's coming directly towards me. And so I put my hand to sort of like kind of gently just sideswipe him, like maybe he's confused or something. And it latched onto my hand, clamped onto my hand. And again, I'm still like, everything's very calm. I'm very observant. And I'm just like, oh, and I look at it biting on my hand. I'm not hurt. I'm not panicked. And I see that it has two heads. And the one head is biting me is like, it's like a mutant, it's like a Chernobyl snake, or like one of those, mutant frogs with two heads. Like, that's the impression that I got from it. Like, its DNA had been mutated. Like, it wasn't healthy. It wasn't right in the head. Mm-hmm. It wasn't right. And so it's the shorter, like the shorter head that's bit. And I remove that, and it clamps on with the other head onto my other hand. Right? And again, I'm just totally calm, taking my time. I'm almost like, I hold the snake out in front of me, like straight ahead of me. It's biting my hand here, and I'm holding it behind the second head. And it's got like a long stretch, and there's the other head, and I'm holding it. And I'm just sort of observing. And I'm seeing, okay, well, if I go to grab it here to remove, it's going to bite me here. Right? Like, sort of looking at the dynamics of how to remove the snake. But then I'm also noticing, like, as it's bit down on me, that I'm not in any pain. And actually, I feel really, really good right now. This is weird. Like, I was aware of bliss. It wasn't the snake biting me that was bliss. It was just noticing that there was no state of panic, pain, or anything like that. And it was noticing, actually, if anything, I feel really, really good in this situation. And I wasn't angry at the snake. I was actually contemplating like how I could gently remove it, not to cause it any harm, not like any fast movements. I basically just finished off the dream where I think it just like kind of released, and I just sort of let it go, sort of put it aside to me. And I came out of the dream super calm, like super zen, just feeling so good.
What do you think?
Well, I looked at the situation that I had been handling with that family dynamic, and you know, people playing a victim story that want to draw you in, and knowing they pull you in to get what they want, but when they don't get what they want, they don't hear what they want, you don't say or do what they want because of the victim behavior, the sad story, that I can't write all of it. When you don't play the game, it'll bite you if you do, bite you if you don't. Kind of looking at the situation and dealing with certain family member dynamics, it's like you're bit if you do or you bit if you don't. So the best thing is just to calmly put the situation out before you, lay it out for what it is. I'm not here to judge the animal. I'm not here to hurt the animal. Right. It's not well. It's got split mind thinking. It's not right in the head. And an animal like that will lash out, right? Yet they're wounded and not well, and you want to aid them and sort of correct the behavior, but at the same time recognize that you're going to get bit, but also the deeper part of recognizing me, that nothing can hurt me now. There's nothing that can hurt me. Like I was very much in my own power in that place, and I could handle the situation. There's complete confidence in me to handle whatever situation. There's no giving away my power, but through fear to this. It is what it is. So yeah, it was kind of like, if you get bit, if you do or you don't, just be aware of it, hold it out, observe it for what it is.
But it was no big deal.
And let it go on its way.
It was only as big of a deal as you made it, right?
Oh yes, my reaction to it.
Right. And that's how so many things are like that, right?
Yeah. But it was showing me, this growing innate nature within me of non-judgment. I'm not judging the snake as evil, good or bad, or it is what a snake is a snake. That's it, plain and simple. No judgment. And it's not personal. It's just doing what snakes do. So, and it's just being in that state, which brings on the bliss, which gives you that, and that's what brings it in. So, I think it has to do with that, and just being in that awareness and being in that state of observation when dealing with these kinds of situations, and holding your energy and holding your composure,
right.
And your confidence, and knowing that you can maintain that and handle whatever situation it is, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah.
And then, how important of a message is that today, when they've got you in fear that someone's going to come knocking on the door and make you do things you don't want to do and stuff like that. And I say, there's so many things you can worry about that's never going to come about, and not to worry unless somebody's actually knocking. Don't worry about tornadoes until the sirens are going off and your roof's getting ripped off. You know what I mean? There's a certain time that it makes sense to be fearful, right? But there's other times that we worry about things that never come about, and so many things that are going around right now are never going to see the light of day, but they're waking people up, and that's the whole reason why they're never going to see the light of day, because they're a huge wake-up tool. So we don't want to get caught by the traps. you know.
Yeah. We all have our own role to play in this too.
Right, right.
You
Yeah.
know, and those who awaken and speak out and let others know, and those who just hold an energy or hold a light, or, you know, or maybe we do that some, you know, in a capacity over here and
Right.
not over there. So, you know, people are being compelled to speak out and say,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, hey, this is a concern. Safety is a concern right now. And I think they should. It is growing, but not to be in a state of fear, not to be looking at it like, you know, that snake situation, losing your composure, losing your, you know, because once you're making decisions based on emotional stimulation
Right.
and triggers, then you're not making good decisions. You're making decisions based on fear and everything else. So you know, it's good to speak out and be active and choose how individually you feel best you can participate. What are
Hmm.
you good at? You know, what we're all different at what we're good at.
But you know, there is that sense of feeling like, oh my gosh, do I need to stop what I'm doing over here and go do this job? You know, I think, you know, you can have confidence in the fact that if you're doing what you feel your heart is in right now, and you feel like you're where you're supposed to be at, I wouldn't let fear pull you away from that, because there will be someone there to represent you in that capacity as well. There's always going to be someone there, you know. So even if you want to go yell and scream, but you don't feel like that's your thing, don't worry. There'll be somebody there yelling and screaming for that part of you that wants to yell and scream. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not
Yes, I
like
do
it's not
see that.
getting done. It's getting done. Just
Yes.
live vicariously. Put that energy into those that are doing that, so that you can release that, energize them to do what they feel, because that's where their heart is at, and then you can act out where your heart is at right now, which might just be to, you know, help people at your work or something. You know, who knows?
I think I think people are really going to start to see the difference um in observing people who are being lit up and like have that
Mm-hmm. The light.
energy and the light and the composure and the wisdom and you know, that difference will be more noticeable and people will be drawn to that. So we don't have to scream and shout to get attention. The power of our presence, you know, like a monk that, you know, Buddha, what, Jesus Christ walking through this. Can you imagine the power of the presence of them not saying a word? They carry it. We don't have to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we can just carry that energy and move people that way, I believe. They will see the difference. They will see the compassion, the love, um, exuding off of us.
And the thing is, it's in every one of us. So, like
Mhm.
a candle, we ignite it in other people and bring that to
Yeah,
life, and it starts to spread like this. You know,
that's what I'm seeing.
yeah.
As much as we're seeing the fires igniting, we're also seeing people getting ignited,
Mm-hmm.
playing
Spreading in the
out in a lot
same
of
way,
different ways. Hmm.
because it really is
Then
an
I'm also seeing a
energetic
lot of
thing.
water energy coming in soon too to quell those fires. But I think there was a lot of Aries and Mars energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm feeling that swell of water coming in. Hmm.
And I'm also feeling that, like we were just saying, like as we're, you know, you're radiating out that light, it's like we're creating these ripples in the pond, right? These
Hmm.
positive, these ripples of a certain frequency. You know, you can have a
Hmm.
nice slow, low one, or you can have more of this, you know, high vibe frequency radiating out. That's going to
Yeah,
penetrate through those slower ones, right? And that's
that's
really
it.
what we're doing, you know, because we're
That's
in
it.
this consciousness soup, if you will, and shining our light out. So there might be space in between us and other people, but the energy, we're all in it together, and we're shining, making the whole thing brighter together.
Yeah,
And it's a
exactly,
beautiful
bro.
thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Okay, do we have any, let me see, let me check the chat here. Any other symptoms that we haven't talked about? Let me think. I had, gosh. I gotta think, because sometimes I'll get symptoms and feel like, oh, that's just something unrelated. But
Hmm.
So the stomach pains, the nauseousness, nausea, kind of went with the loss of appetite. But sometimes it got actually, where I felt like I might be coming down on something at times. But just the wave of it, not very long. It might be
Yeah, I
like
heard
10
they
or
for
15
3
minutes.
days. For like a couple weeks ago. Like we missed doing the last show, but
Yeah.
I would have talked about it then. But yeah, it was like 3 days. But then now it's like come back up. Again, not like hardly sleeping and sort of being really re-energized and feeling the swelling energy, swelling excitement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I can wrap this up for this week. I have no idea how long we've been going. I don't have my other computer, but pretty good here. All right. All right. Lots of love and light to you guys. I don't even have the chat. I don't have another computer to keep an eye on.
Oh, wait.
We're just wandering around out in
flying
space
a little
together.
blind today, you and I.
We are.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fine.
All good.
Yeah, and I think we covered. I think we covered everything too. Oh, there was. I did want to. I don't know if you guys noticed it. It came out about a month ago. Eckhart Tolle did an interview with what's the guy's name? Russell Brand, and it was pretty cool. I came across that. I guess I should have shared it in the thing, but he did this really cool analogy of the ripples in water. We often talk about like we're like kind of if you imagine God as the ocean, we're like little drops of God, or the divine or whatever. Well, he was talking about the you can have this consciousness of like a ripple on the surface, and the ripples are they come and go, like our lifetimes kind of come and go, but they can be afraid of the other ripples and feel threatened by them and all of this, not realizing that they're really all part of the same,
Same thing.
Yeah, anyway, it was a really cool analogy, but if you guys haven't seen that, I would definitely check that out.
Huh.
And I think that's just about it. Lots
Cool.
of love, light, and unity to each and every one of you. And thank you so much for being here with me, Michelle.
Always, bro.
See
Love
you next
y'all.
week. Love you guys. Peace.
Peace.
Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.